Greetings, my saplings. In today's video, we will be talking about the Air Jordan 3 Tinker Hatfield. To be more specific, like always in these how to cop guides, we'll be talking about some release info, how to cop them, being all the raffles, the online sites you could go for in the EU or in the US, and also, of course, resale predictions for those of you who are interested. So these sneakers will be releasing on March 24th. In the US, they will be releasing at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. In EU, on Nike sneakers, it'll be 3 a.m. Eastern Time. And there's one EU site that we will be going over that is 4 a.m. Eastern Time. So US people, because they do ship to the US, and I believe that they're shipping worldwide actually, I might be mistaken, but make sure you guys set your alarm. The retail on these sneakers will be $200 US. However, it is important to keep in mind that on some of these raffles we're going to be signing up for and the store that we're going to be talking about, it is going to be a lot more expensive, some of the prices being around like $300 US. However, we'll talk about resale value and why it's still okay to pay that price for these shoes just because the resale is going to be higher, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll get into that later. Right now, let's talk about how you can cop them. Let's talk about how you can get yourself a pair of these Tinker Hatfield 3s. So obviously, we have Nike sneakers draw. It is not going to be a first come, first serve. It's simply going to be a draw, which inevitably means that we are going to have like a 0% chance of cop. But basically, it will be 10 a.m. Eastern Time for Nike US. For the EU, like I said previously, it will be 3 a.m. Eastern Time. And normally, you have about 30 minutes to sign up. It might be 20 minutes, it might be 10 minutes. Also, like I've mentioned in previous videos, you only want to make one entry per home address. A lot of you guys were wondering if I meant IP address. No, it's home address. Nike is now tracking your address and payment when you enter these draws, so when they start to see duplicates, I'm afraid that they will cancel both of your entries, so it's just a safer bet to go with one, just because, say, your brother or sister's in the house going for them, or maybe your like husband or wife is going for them. I mean, like, just one extra entry isn't going to do you any good, but it is going to be very, very bad if you get all your entries taken away because it's a 0% chance. Alright, so now let's talk about the only store that I know of as of now. There's one more that we'll talk about later that I'm not sure if it's going to be a first come, first serve or a raffle, but as of now, this is the only confirmed one that is going to be doing a first come, first serve online. Then remaining pairs are said to be releasing in-store, but come on guys, there's not going to be any remaining pairs. So essentially, a lot of you guys were wondering, like, hey, is it even worth waking up this early? Like, I know bots are just going to consume most of the pairs. And to be honest, yeah, bots do get most of the pairs. However, I have had success in the past on some of these EU sites. Most importantly, though, the retail on these shoes is going to be it's equivalent to about $280, maybe it's $278. I'll put the conversion up on the screen, but yeah, it's a lot of money, and some people might not go for them just because they can't make enough profit off of reselling them, so maybe you do have a decent chance. I would still go for them, but you know, it's up to you. Just some quick tips that I've went over in previous videos on what to do on first come, first serve websites. When you refresh, don't click that little thing. This was actually a tip from a subscriber. Again, guys, this is a wonderful community where we're all trying to help each other, so if you know any tips, leave them in the comments down below, and also feel free to subscribe to this awesome community. But basically, you want to click Command R to refresh, or F5 on Windows to refresh, because Command R is for Mac, instead of clicking that little circle, because it does take a long time for you to drag your hand all the way over to the size selection. While you click Command R or F5 on Windows, you could just keep your mouse hovering right over the size selection, and you should probably be refreshing at like 3:59 Eastern Time a couple of times just so you get in at the right time, and hopefully we don't encounter too many errors. Another thing that is absolutely essential is autofill. A lot of you guys were wondering what's the best autofill to use. Actually, if you just open up Google Chrome, go into settings, you just have to click advanced settings when you scroll to the bottom. Then you should see something that says manage autofill, something around those lines. Fill in your credit card info. It is trustworthy. Your information isn't getting stolen, don't worry about it. Then also obviously fill in your address information. With autofill now, the only things that you occasionally have to fill out is the state, because it's usually a selection, and also your security number, just because you're not able to put that into Chrome, just because you're not actually able to put that in. And then of course you will have to type in your security code, but you guys should memorize that. Of course, if you guys want, you can use PayPal to check out, therefore you will just be able to skip all the filling out stuff. However, I don't think PayPal is a good idea. I have had success using PayPal. In fact, that's how I got the neighborhood NMDs, because it wouldn't take my credit card for some reason. But basically, when you do PayPal, it takes you to a whole nother page, and occasionally when you go to this whole other page, the whole site just crashes on you, and it's like you've lost all progress. So personally, I like to use credit card just so you could stay there. It's just the safer way to do it. But if you do want to use PayPal, here's the one tip I do recommend, that you open up a second tab and you're already signed into PayPal on that tab. Therefore, occasionally you will be able to just skip the sign-in process and you could just go right through to the process payment. Also, you are able to add an account for Overkill. That is what I would suggest. You should also add your address, obviously. It's just another thing. Although you do have autofill, it is helpful to obviously have your address put in. All these little things you could do beforehand, they will help. Alright, so those are the only stores that are going to be getting them as of now. Now, I'm sure there are going to be more that pop up, and I will post all these updates on my Twitter, so feel free to follow that. That's where I post like all raffle links and all that. But speaking about raffles, why don't we get right into all the raffles that you should be joining right now and how to get multiple entries for them. So if you're wondering what to do in general to get multiple entries, feel free to just go check out yesterday's video and skip to about the 5-minute mark. That's where I essentially encompass all the things you need to do to join the raffles with multiple entries without the algorithm catching you. But now let's talk about the ones that you could actually join. For instance, you can join a US only raffle, I believe it is. It is Exhibition, and the only thing you're going to have to do differently aside from what we normally do is follow them on Instagram. So therefore, if you want to make multiple entries, what you will have to do is perhaps use some of your friends' Instagram accounts. Like I said in yesterday's video, I would not advocate using fake accounts or like ones you've just made, because they might potentially see that there's only 3 or 4 followers. Also, I believe that it says you have to like their post and tag 3 friends, and you know, this really got me worried. It makes me think that they're only doing this for publicity and that they're probably just gonna backdoor most of the pairs, because if say they choose like 100 people to win the raffle, I do not think that they're going to check their comment section, or even the likes for that matter, or even who's following them to see who's actually signed up. I think that you just need to follow them. I wouldn't say you need to do this, but if you want to do it, go ahead. Now, the next raffle is actually a European exclusive. That means that us US people, we aren't going to be able to get them from this raffle, but you know, we have other raffles too, so this is going to be the Sneakers and Stuff raffle. And like I've mentioned in previous videos, for SNS, you only want to make 1 entry. I don't know what it is that they do, but somehow they always manage to figure out a way to stop me from making multiple entries. Moving on to Foot District, it's going to be the same process as the previous one with the Instagram account. However, you will also have to make an account for Foot District, which is a super easy setup, so you will have to put in your email address for that too. And make sure that you have a PayPal set up, because that is the only form of payment that they will be accepting. Now, moving on to the End Clothing raffle, there's one thing that's important to keep in mind. On End Clothing, it is about $290, maybe it's $295, but it's still going to be less than resale, and I'll talk about that later. But so when you're making multiple entries on End Clothing, you will need a new payment every single time. So you might want to use your PayPal, you might want to use all your credit cards, and you guys get the gist of it. And now the store that I was talking about previously that I didn't know if it was going to be a raffle, like a late raffle or a first come first serve, I think it will be a first come first serve, but I'm just not 100% on it. It's going to be 1 block down, and if you visit their site, you will see the countdown. But again, I'm not sure if it's going to be a first come first serve or what they're going to do. Alright, so with the Had a Cop out of the way, that is how you are going to be able to get these sneakers, but if you take an L, guys, please don't stress it. These things are going to be extremely limited. I believe that only 1 foot action is getting them. If you happen to be within that foot action vicinity, just check your app, and if you are able to join, then go right ahead and do that. But like I said, especially if you don't have that 10-minute head start, you're just going to have like a 0% chance of getting these. Now, moving on to the resale predictions. You guys might be a little skeptical of paying $300 for this shoe, say if you order off of some of these EU sites, just because the resale is already down to $400 in a size 11, and then some of the other sizes are like $450. So you might be saying, whoa, what happens with normal releases? They usually even go down even further afterwards. However, what has normally been happening, and this is like really weird with StockX, this never happened before, keep in mind. I think people are trying to like get rid of their pairs as fast as possible before the shoe comes out, and then after the shoe comes out, demand increases a ton because so many people realize that they've taken L. So what's actually been happening is that the price actually increases after the drop on these limited sneakers. So I'm not telling you that they're gonna go above 400 for sure, but I'm just saying that I think that you will be able to at least break even if you pay $300 for this shoe. I'm thinking that the low for these shoes will be $350 in the worst size possible, meaning that after StockX or GOAT fees or even PayPal fees with shipping, you will be able to make your money back and maybe like a couple of bucks. But in all honesty, I think you might be able to make some more than that. I think like in the really rare sizes could be up to $600, and then on average they might float around like $450 to like $500-ish. I think that they'll be very, very similar to the Slam Dunk Contest 3s. Now, obviously, the Slam Dunk Contest 3s, they're very similar to the white cement 3s, so that means that they do have a lot of demand on those. However, I think that there's pretty high demand on these 3s too, just because they are the original 3 design. I think that this is an essential for a lot of sneaker collectors, and they will be willing to pay a lot of money. So I do think that you will be able to profit off of these shoes. Regardless though, if you are feeling nervous, definitely don't pay $300 for that. Maybe only stick to the $220 raffles. Again, this is only like my predictions. I'm not giving you advice. This is just personally what I would go for. Also, if you don't plan on reselling the shoe, obviously, I think $300 is definitely going to be less than what you're going to have to pay for resale. So if you just want the shoe to rock like I do, go for every single raffle there is, in my opinion. So that will conclude today's videos. Whether you're buying the shoe to resell it or to rock it like I am, I wish you guys the best of luck. So feel free to leave a like if you happen to enjoy the video, if you maybe perhaps learned something. Also, feel free to subscribe to this awesome community. Also, if you have any tips for copying shoes, again, this is a helpful community. Put your valuable input into the comment section, and hopefully some other people will read it and take that information and use it in the future, and maybe I just might mention it in a future video. So with that, have a fantastic day. Like always, good luck.
I can't run and I can't walk. You hit me so hard, I don't want to talk. Get your foot off my foot. Get your foot off my foot, yeah! Why are you always in my way? Knocking me over every single day. Get your foot off my foot.